Well, there you go.
I'm Ilana Razbash, and this is Radio Architecture. Good evening from beautiful Bunurong country. We are broadcasting to you live from right here in the ancient Karam swamp on eastern Kulin Nation land. As always, if you'd love to join the conversation, please text us on 0493 213 831. We'd love to have you with us. My guest and conversation partner this evening is John Kachami. He is the director of Vantage Architecture and an architect. Since graduating in 2010, John has spent 15 years pursuing a broad range of projects at a number of different practices in order to develop into a knowledgeable and professional architect. During this time, he has been involved in over 150 projects with a construction value from $500,000 to $100 million in various capacities, ranging from designer to documenter to project leader. His experience consists of commercial and residential in equal parts, with an emphasis on commercial, mixed-use, childcare, townhouse and apartment developments. Vantage Architecture's collaborative approach means they are highly adaptable and equipped to accommodate a variety of projects. Designing across a diverse range of sectors from childcare to single residential, mixed-use and subdivision precincts, Vantage has built a base of long-standing relationships with experts in the industry, from land surveyors to financiers and everything in between. John uses these introductions to help keep the project on true track. Welcome, John.
Hey, how are you?
So good to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so interested in your journey and really your perspectives. In many ways, this might be a bit more of an architectural conversation that listeners are used to, because you have such a fair dinkum approach to the profession.
Thank you.
Of sorts, you just want to be a really great professional.
Yeah, it sort of came about when I noticed that clients really looked to me to give them advice that they could use confidently, and that sort of pushed me to be able to be in a position to give that advice. And so I would always look further into things and understand them better in order to feel good about what I'm telling them and feel confident that it's the right advice.
Because these projects are a big deal.
They
right?
are for me. I lose sleep over stuff if it's not going well. So it's really good to look back and see, yeah, I did that extra scheme, or yeah, I made that extra call, and I consolidated the information into the best possible at the time.
Wonderful. Well, we'll talk about projects and practice and your career journey a little bit, but before we get there, there's a question I love to ask all my guests.
Okay, go ahead.
You're smiling already because you're a listener of the program. You know what I'm about to ask, and that's, what's your earliest memory of a building or place?
Oh, yeah, it's really weird because I noticed that when I went to uni that there have been so many memories along my life until then where design sort of crept in or I noticed something. I think the earliest one that I can remember is, I don't know if my memory is playing tricks on me, but I believe we could see Daimaru from the backyard of our house. And I used to love that building, just the two towers sticking up out of the glass skyscraper, and it was the tallest building in the city at the time.
And that's Melbourne Central before it got renovated.
Yeah, that's right, Melbourne Central. And I think I called it the Batman building, but I didn't even like Batman. But, you know, it was just so different. And finding out that it was Kurokawa's one of his last projects, and, you know, he was a leader of his own movement and stuff like that, really sort of, yeah, it's something that's nice that I noticed.
Masterful Japanese architect, and we demolished it.
Well,
we
definitely changed it. It had sort of a lovely, naive element to it with the Seiko clock and the balloons and it was just sort of happy and innocent, and it's sort of become a lot more commercial since that time, which things need to get, I guess, especially, I mean, when you look at retail, if you don't change your store every 5 years, you're pretty much done for. So it's really interesting how they constantly have to refresh. It's almost like set construction or something in a way. Yeah.
Such rapid turnover, such rapid timelines.
Oh, you could be on a project and they've changed their whole branding, and then you just like
start again.
Yeah. new colors, new materials, done deal.
I wonder, why architecture?
Well, I think a lot of people pick architecture before they really know what it is, and I was probably in a similar boat. But I had the understanding that it involved a number of different disciplines coming together, and it's sort of something that's always suited me. I was never really like an expert in one thing, but I was always interested in a broad range of things, and my grades at school reflected that too. Like I did all the hard subjects to get into the prerequisites, but I never really stood out in any of them particularly, and so it was more about that broad range of knowledge that sort of cross pollinates itself. You know, I could see the links between sciences and maths, and the links between language and maths. Even I always find ways to merge things together, and it was sort of interesting doing architecture, especially in some of the studios where they were all about that sort of merging of ideas, and so it was a good fit for just my natural way of thinking.
That's amazing, though, that early in your youth and before you started studying, you could still perceive that architecture was a generalist profession.
Yeah, well,
And it was this collaboration of bringing together of many multiples of people.
yeah, I don't think I knew the depth of it, but it was an inkling. Yeah.
Had you known architects in your early life?
No, I can't say I did. My family dealt with one on a childcare that my mother did in '96, and so I was around when that was happening, and when it was being built. So I was on the building site and collecting little blanks from the screw guns and stuff like that, climbing on the frame. But no, I think it was more of just. I was really interested in aerospace engineering as well, but when they said it was sort of maths heavy and stuff, it's just not something for me. I can't get into that, deep end of that sort of thing. And I love design. I love the way cars look, and that's why I liked aerospace engineering. And then sort of architecture's along those lines, but probably I'm glad I did it instead. Definitely, yeah.
And then when you went to study, what school did you pursue, and really where did you find yourself in that design culture?
Yeah, that was a really major decision. I think, or if you see in high school, you work really hard to get the best grades so you can get to the best uni, but architecture's not like that.
Not at all.
And no one even knows that. Like, even at my school, the advice I got is, this student is really good with Des Tech. You should ask him what he's preparing for to get into RMIT. And I was like, oh, hey, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I've done this folio. And I don't have a folio. I can't do that. Because so anyway, I prepared the best I could, and I went to the interview, and I had rehearsed some questions. And one of the questions, I think it was the tipping point. You can feel when things are changing. And Graham Christ said, what happens if you don't get in here? And I said, well, and I even had the look. I knew what I was doing. And I'm not an actor, so this is like, I think it was fate. I was just like, well, if I don't get in here, then I'll go to Deakin. If I don't go to Deakin, I'll go to Melbourne. If I don't go to Melbourne, I'll go somewhere else. And I think they clicked that that's what they wanted at that uni, because you're going to need it.
Yes,
So-
you've got to have the drive. You've got to
Yeah.
have the
And
the fight to be in it.
And at the time, RMIT was at the forefront. Everybody knew it. And I think looking back, I think they were really good at teaching how to think about design. And I think that some of the other unis were more drafting technical stuff. And both have their pros and cons, but RMIT was the right place for me, for sure.
What was the biggest lesson from those school days that is still staying with you today in practice?
I think it's something that was brought out without sort of being expected, which was that when things got really tough, I realized as a person how resilient and persistent I could be. And I think that does follow through with every single job. There's always times when things get difficult, or there are problems that we don't know the answers to. And that sort of spirit really does stead you in good position to push through.
And it also makes you a better leader, right? Running your own practice.
Well, yeah, I think that the confidence that comes with the knowledge enables those around you to um, feel solid in their direction as well. So if you've been through it before and you know if you don't seem panicked, they're not going to be panicked.
Yes.
And even if you do, sometimes they believe in you more than you do. So it's it is self-fulfilling in a way. Like that they can feel it and then they can carry it through. Yeah.
Did you have a feeling about the type of work or type of projects you'd like to do while you were still a student?
Yeah, I started before I even got into uni. But it definitely changed a lot. So I was drawing stuff like Mediterranean single story dwellings with rooftops that you dry your food on. And then I got into architecture, and at the interview I promised them that I was interested in commercial because I knew that's what they wanted to hear. And then by the time we ended the master's program, my supervisor's advice was make your thesis about what you want to do for the next 10 years. And I was like, yeah, I don't believe you. But I did believe him, but I just didn't understand how that would work.
Yes.
And my thesis was combining commercial and civic architecture in a phrase. And that is actually what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So it's quite amazing that those things happen, and the people you trust that have been through it are really instrumental in, shaping that future. So it's good that I listened to him.
What was it like stepping into practice for the first time and working for others? You've now been running Vantage Architects longer than you worked for others, which is an amazing milestone.
Yeah, I was at my desk one day. I was like, hang on a second. I think I've only worked for people for 6 years. Now I'm in year 7. Well, now we're in year 8. And what was it like? I realized that it didn't feel like that long. Stepping out on your own it was a necessity for me because I did everything I could and I still wasn't where I wanted to be. And I knew that at that point it wasn't me.
Why do you think that happened?
Because I have an ability to surprise people and surpass their expectations. It's something that comes out when it's needed, right? And so I think I was at a position where, first of all, people didn't know that was the case. Because if you've got a good leadership, they know how to drive you.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they weren't interested in pushing people. They were just interested in doing the job. So I needed to get out to push myself and also grow. And it was a leap of faith. And actually, it's common if you ask a lot of people in business, they have to take that step, and it has to be a total step where there's no going back in order to realize their full potential. And I think with me, when I left the last office I worked at, I didn't even ask for a referral. I didn't even ask for a reference. So that's how serious I was about it. So, and that was good because when things got real bad, I was like, I can't get another job. I don't even have a reference.
I have to make this work.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
No, I was sick. I had a stomach problem that people didn't really know what to say about. It was inflammation that was painful, and they said, "Oh, well, you got to stress less." Well, yeah, good luck. So in architecture, there's a lot of long hours and difficult moments, and I think the last project I documented was a 6-story residential building, and I was sort of the main contact on it, and once that got on site and I was satisfied it could be carried forward, I was like, okay, well, that's done. I know I can do this. Now it's time to do it at my pace. If I want to check drawings for a week, I'll go and check them for a week.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain to someone.
To anybody.
Yeah.
You're your own boss, and freedom is a verb.
And that's really odd because the responsibility increased, but the stress dropped way off,
Well, that's uncommon for practice owners and for practice leaders to say, actually. But I've heard for many of our colleagues that they'll say, always wanted to stress less, started my own practice, and there's so much more stress.
No, I think God delivered me from a bad place. I was just Like I said, I wasn't reaching my potential. Although every practice I worked at was fantastic, and I'd learned a lot from every single person.
But it wasn't you.
But it wasn't the potential,
Yeah.
and we'll never reach our full potential. But it's really good to go the next step. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Well, it's life. Work is not something you do to make money. I mean, thank God we're in a society now where you can pursue something greater than that.
Yes. And you can give back and work on these civic-minded projects.
Yeah, and well, look, it's sort of about building on what's before us and building for who's next. And I think that the broader the base, the more that they can draw from, the more that they can produce the next thing.
What is your strategy for pushing those conversations back to meaning and aspiration and value if a project is very commercial and it's getting into a situation where it is all about the bottom line?
Yeah.
And you're trying to fulfill that other part of your role as an architect, not just to be a service professional, but also to leave something of the greater good.
Well, I think that the greater good on a commercial job is to do a commercial project, commercial design. I think that when a client has an appetite to do something different, that's fantastic. You don't really know which client that is until you put it to them. So I have this thing where I do exactly what they tell me, and then I've got an option B. It's a bit like a game show.
Yes.
So, here's what you told me to do, but I was also thinking this. I'm not going to tell you that this is better than that. It's just what I would do. And sort of given my history with successful work as well as doing my own projects, they're a lot more open to my ideas than they used to be.
And you've built that trust.
Yeah, through experience and through, runs on the board. And I think that's through being very careful, giving them the best advice at the time, like I said, and making sure you go the extra mile to know that what you're saying is the best advice you have. But yeah, so a good example of that was I had a client in Templestowe who wanted to do a French provincial house. And look, we all take on jobs we don't want to do for money sometimes. And I needed work, and so I said, sure, let's do whatever you want. We'll do. We can do French provincial. We can do anything. But let me put it to you this way: I'll do your French provincial design, and I'll do one of my designs. And if you don't like my design, we'll continue with the French provincial. And so, we did the concept. We did the second concept, and he loved it. Absolutely loved it. And so we just went forward with the other one.
What was the selling point? What tipped the needle?
Honestly, I think it's the way you talk about a project. When you love it, you're going to talk it up. And it comes naturally for me to show my passion because I'm excited about it. It's not an act. It's literally like they can see. And when they see it, it's infectious. They catch the bug and they understand it. And I think that, French provincials are lovely buildings. Depends how they're constructed, of course. If they're not foam, they're pretty good. But there is something more technical and more nuanced about sort of contemporary architecture where we do deal with concepts that those square boxes don't deal with.
Yes.
Aspect of view, blurring spaces, entertainment areas that are sort of multi-purpose and all these things. You just don't really do that with boxes with the same size windows,
Little boxes on the hillside.
Yeah. But they're lovely in their own way.
And it's this, I guess, idea of customer service comes in where the customer is never wrong. They're not always right, but they're never wrong.
I want to do what they want to do, but I want them to know the options. And that's I'm never afraid of suggesting something, but I don't push it. That it's on the table, and even the other day, I've got a project that's been going for 4 years. We did really good. We got it through VCAT. It's a great result. The market's changed. It's not so great anymore. The things that would sell don't sell as well. And an idea that I introduced 4 years ago was to make them bigger, have fewer of them, and rejig it to make it stack. I had a conversation with the client 2 days ago and said, look, I think I can get 8 3-bedrooms on there instead of 14 2-bedrooms and make them all double story and cut down the cost.
Yeah.
And something that didn't sound good 4 years ago, we're now open to looking into. So
Sounds much better now. And
Yeah.
that's that journey. That's that trust.
it's also the collaboration. Like, I'm open to their ideas. I learn from many of my clients, especially some of these guys have been working for 30 years doing developments, and they have a different point of view. But similarly, we have the same goal. So when it's a collaborative experience, we never sort of think about whose idea it was. It's more about the best idea.
You were never spooked by some of the talk going around our industry to never work with developers.
Well, I turned into one, so there you go. But no, I really value perspectives, and I like to consider them before throwing them away or adopting them, and just taking the parts that I like out of them. It's the same with if you use a design precedent. The developer is just a precedent of a way of working, and all of them are different. Some of them are high end, some of them are really like 0.5 of a meter matters, and I would have to say I'm on the more bespoke than production ends of the scale, because I'd rather sell one thing than 100 things for the same amount of profit.
Yes.
Yeah, mass production for me it's probably the best way to make tons of money, but it's not really what I'm interested in.
What's the biggest lesson you learned as being a developer yourself that you could not have gotten as an architect?
Well, I suppose my money was on the line, and I think when things go wrong, which they did, you see that it's very easy to say, oh, you just buy a piece of land if you got the deposit and away you go. No, there's 100 things that are going to happen between now and then, and that resilience from architecture is probably what got me through as well. But having said that, it turned out to be a very good development, very profitable. But that middle bit would have sunk most people, I would say. So we had to dismiss the builder. They just weren't moving. And this was during the time when COVID and everything was happening.
Right, and cost escalations.
Yeah, and in cost escalation, a lot of the time it's not even people's faults. I don't really know what happened with them, because if someone's honest with me, I can work with them. If they're not and nothing's happening, like we literally got to the completion date and they weren't even 20% through. So, but so what happened after that is I took it on as owner builder and finished it off. So I got the full works of knowledge. I've been through footings and re-flooring and everything hands-on on the site. And I thought, gosh, this is a little bit embarrassing, And the reaction from my clients was the exact opposite.
Like, now you know what we go through.
No, they said, John, can you build mine? And that's mostly because builders at the time were so volatile. Everyone wanted a safe pair of hands, and they knew they'd trusted me as an architect.
Yes.
And I'd crossed the river on my own. They're like, take us with you, So, yeah, it's really rewarding to do the right thing and look back and see that it was the thing to do.
And see that you made it.
Yeah.
But also your business case stacked up. You knew the project would be successful. You trusted yourself. You knew in the value of your design and the value of that proposition.
Absolutely.
And what it was going to add, not just what real estate is at the market at a bare minimum. You also knew that little extra. Yeah. So you just had to get it done.
And it's funny, as a designer, you know what you're designing, but when you see it in physical form, it's always a surprise. And the proportions of that space were generous, and it became a childcare that you would want to take your child to. And that's really what everyone should aspire to be doing along the way, is a good product that rewards you for being good. So seeing that project finished, walking through it, understanding that high ceiling that cost me an extra whatever a meter was worth it, Yeah. And when the tenants came through, they noticed as well. Like, they signed up off the plan.
Wow.
But they didn't know what they were getting till they went there.
Yes.
So, yeah. And they actually ended up purchasing it.
Fantastic.
So I sold the building to them, yeah.
Pretty much straight away.
Crazy, yes.
Instant
within 6
ROI.
months.
Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. And that's now going into the next one. So I didn't learn my lesson, and I'm back for more.
That's all of us architects, really, isn't it? We're a
It's true.
sucker for that next challenge, for that next moment of innovation. Why do you find childcare so rewarding, but also uh, advantageous for these
It's
smaller developments?
that's really I almost get a bit spiritual about that because I noticed when I finished architecture, my father told me that he had actually studied architecture, but he never finished.
And he never told you until you graduated.
I didn't. The guy that was pretty mysterious. He didn't tell me much about our family or like whatever. But you know, he was quite old when he had me. I think he was 51, and so grandma, grandpa were all gone. I didn't know anything about a lot of things. But when I finished, he told me, "Hey, you know, I did architecture for 4 years before I became a construction engineer." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I couldn't finish the maths." Which is really funny because that's why I didn't do aerospace, right?
And there's no maths now, really, in architecture.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, I probably would have felt like, well, I probably wouldn't have passed the maths thing either. But and so I realized like, wow, I finished something that Dad started, right? And then when I was doing the first childcare job, I realized that my mother's been in childcare, for a long time, and now I'm doing childcare, and I realized like, part of life is continuing on what your family started if you can help it, and almost like I didn't plan on doing it, but it found me anyway, so it's sort of a bit destiny.
It
and
is a bit destiny, a bit karmic.
and that's why for me I really like that my interest has collided with my family's history in a way that both can work together. Having said that, childcare is it's probably 30% of what we do. Yeah. So we do a lot of commercial stuff, retail, town center, master planning, subdivision, and they're all very exciting to me, and they all feed into that zone where commercial meets cultural and civic. And I think that
Your thesis.
yeah, thanks, Jan.
What's the biggest thinking point or the biggest strategic idea that you bring into these civic meeting commercial projects where the town centre is so important for the thriving life? And if you don't get it wrong, if you don't get it right, you'll have to redo it.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely. It's really funny because you start a project and a lot of the time I don't know where it's going to lead to, but under pressure, these ideas just push themselves out. And one of the ideas that pushed themselves out in early master planning stuff that I've been doing was an ecosystem. Basically, like you're not just designing one building now; you're designing something that needs to work together. And so, when you're curating that process, you need to understand that you're creating a story through the site. How do you arrive? Where are you going to go? First of all, there's the marketing side of things. How do you catch the eye of a passerby? How do you welcome them into the center? The story of moving through the center. How do you retain them to dwell longer in the area? But then how do you give them a reward for doing that? And so it's the story and it's the ecosystem that it becomes greater than any one part. And so you do have that anchor tenant, you do have the commercial realities, but then you've also got a space that tenants want to rent.
Yes.
So
if you don't design it well, they won't want to put their brand there. They won't want to rent it out.
If you got something facing the back corner of a turning bay, then they're not going to rent it. So, let's have a piazza where all of the food, all the convenience outlets can share one common space that people want to sit at. They don't want to take their food and eat in the car, which I've seen people do. It's just really sad. Although I've done it before.
It doesn't feel good though, does it?
Nah, like, you know what I noticed? You need to see your food when you're eating it. It's like half the journey.
It is. That's what the visual, the plating.
Oh, man.
The architecture of food itself.
If you're like late home from work and you eat a burger in the car, in the dark car park, you might as well not do it.
Yeah. Doesn't hit the same. What does good design mean to you?
Well, I'm really obsessed with the genius moment. I'd love to see something that I've never seen before. And I think that I don't really care when it comes to like visual. I don't mind if it's good or not. I want it to be different, right?
Yes.
And then that's a starting point. That's not where you go, okay, it's done. But Once you've got something new, then you make it good.
And you believe it's possible to find newness. I think at RMIT they really beat into us that there's nothing new in this world
There
anymore.
is nothing new, but it's new for me, right?
Yeah.
Especially if I didn't see it somewhere else. First year uni, I designed a building that looks like the Guggenheim, but it was underground. So the concept was an earthquake, and the rings of the earthquake from the epicenter became the different levels. And my tutor literally knew for sure that I was copying the Guggenheim. But I didn't know what the hell it was. I just did circles because it's an earthquake. Anyway, so, that's something that was new for me that no one would possibly believe that I thought of on my own. Yeah. So it's not about, it's a novelty based on your knowledge rather than, whether you're pushing the boundaries of the world's knowledge.
There's this notion that an idea has the will to be brought into existence.
Yeah.
And if it comes to you and you don't deliver it, that idea might go to somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Artists talk about that a lot, like being open to the waves that, they're just a conduit for something to come through. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God, and I know that there are things like that happen. I used to design in my dreams. I used to go to sleep thinking about a problem, and then I would wake up with the solution, which was real cool. Then I was able to, on a couple of occasions, just close my eyes and see a building. And there's a couple of buildings on our website that were that. And
Really?
yeah, and so it's pretty nice to be able to do that. I think it's probably just a function of doing it so many times. But yeah, maybe they come from somewhere else. Yeah.
We'll absolutely share those images of those projects that you could perceive with our listeners. We'll share on the follow-up posts on the Instagram.
Yeah,
as we always do.
There's a luxury house where I just saw the top of the building. I just closed my eyes and I saw it, and then everything flowed from there. And then even the Hawthorne childcare, I closed my eyes and I saw the wing next to the Heritage Building, and then the entry was actually formed from flipping that wing and rotating it. So there are 3 elements to the building that are all the same shape, same curve radiuses, same lengths. They're just rotated and flipped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about geometry, tectonics.
Oh, I love that stuff. I was obsessed with pattern making. I used to, during my lunch breaks, just, do new patterns, do new things like that. And every now and then when you've got a place for it, you just slot it in. So we've got a dodecahedron. There's a famous cube illusion with a hexagonal tile that looks like a cube coming out in 3D.
Yes.
And I developed a pattern which is it might be a nonagon that looks like a dodecahedron in 3D. And that's going to be on the facade of the new childcare in Hawthorne, which is... The builder is now trying to figure out how to build in the most effective way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely share that design.
Oh, yeah.
in the
I was
follow-up.
there today. It's amazing. It's looking amazing. The whole steel frame is up. It's just incredible.
What's your favorite part of the construction process?
I I like it when things go well.
when the RFI list is short.
Oh, I don't mind hitting the RFIs. I love collaborating, and the builder on that one is really good at working together and understanding that we're on a team. It's not an adversarial relationship. It's very much we're both on the same page. We've got the same goals, and so well, maybe that's what I like about it. Maybe I do like that. I like killing problems before they become big. That's great. Yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Have you ever done that thought experiment? I actually do it probably once a year. I imagine 18-year-old me walking in to wherever I am and me explaining what's happened since then.
Yes.
And it's mind-blowing. Like, anyone can do that and think like you would never expect where you end up, right? Don't know. I wouldn't give them advice because I think that you have to learn through that experience. If you've got the answers before you start, you might not end up in the same place. And like, yeah, I think it's just, really listen to to what you know is right. Yeah.
Go on that journey. One next best decision at a time.
Yeah, you know what's right and you know when you're wrong. And when you're in a really bad place, you reflect on how you got there. And I've had a few of those. You're like, how the hell am I in a car at 3 a.m. that doesn't start? And you go through, oh, well, you didn't charge the battery and you haven't driven it for 5 days and you decided she'll be right and she wasn't. So learn from it. Yeah.
That's in effect why I asked the question, right? For so many, some learn from their own mistakes and some learn from others.
Oh, yeah.
And for young students, graduates listening, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for them?
Oh, well, look, I think they're all built differently, and I believe that they've got their own journey and their own mistakes to make. I have to say it is good to not repeat things that have already been done. But I would say really reflect on what's important to you and pursue that, but constantly question it. Adapt your thesis as you go along to account for things you've experienced that you didn't know at the time. Adaptation is really important in business. It's really important in life because you start off in one direction and you're not going to end up going in a straight line to your goal. Like you're going to take a meandering path. And that's why I ask for God's guidance as regularly as I can. And so when something comes to me, I look at it and evaluate it and say, is this a sign? Is this something I need to look at further? Like a good example at the moment is resorts. Resorts keep coming into my life.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, I'm just in tune with that at the moment. I'm watching it carefully, and I think that maybe we'll be doing one of those sometime soon.
You'll be doing a resort.
Yeah.
Are you a resort goer yourself? Is
No.
this a project that gets you excited?
Oddly enough, I'm not, but I'm at the moment looking at the market and I keep track of it regularly for my own purposes and to advise clients. And I'm seeing government-funded things are working. Things that cater for wealthy people are working. Not much else is working.
Yes.
And we're waiting for a sign. We're waiting for something to change. It's not changing.
No.
It could be 10 years before it changes.
Right.
So what is the next thing? And that's not something you can get. That's something you make. We write the future. So let's write it, I mean, if you're passionate about, social initiatives, find a way to make that happen. I've actually got several ideas of how to compete with commercial businesses as a social initiative. I just need partners. And there's other things like that. And yeah, sometimes I've got to unlock the vault and just let it go into the world.
In terms of social enterprise ideas and
when so lately I remember in Lebanon, like maybe 2 years ago when things started getting really bad, the banks closed down, they took people's money out of their own accounts, all this stuff. I was like, what have I got to give? I got $5,000 that I could maybe donate. 5,000 is not going to do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
And then I thought of this idea. The flag of Lebanon has the Lebanese cedar on it.
Yes.
And I thought, what if I make car air fresheners with the Lebanese cedar to remind people that people are suffering over there and raise money through selling those. Went to Alibaba, searched for air freshener manufacturers. I got some prototypes made of the Lebanese cedar air fresheners. Figured out I could buy them for this price. Could probably sell them for this price. People know that it's all going to charity. And I literally thought of a model of how to do this. It's to turn $5,000 into $150,000.
Yeah.
That's a social business.
Yeah.
And so it is relying on people to invest in that cause. It's not me on my own, but it is making a much bigger difference.
And that's the entrepreneurial power and skill and the solution-minded talents of architects.
Yeah, and God gives that to everyone. Everyone has their talent, and when you find it, use it. And so, there's a funny story. When I was in grade 3, they banned chocolate bars at school. And I'm a kid. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I told my friend to run down to the milk bar, buy me one, buy him one, and buy a few more. And then I sold them at school. What kind of grade 3 kid thinks of that? It's in you already. You're born with it, right? So
You're born an entrepreneur.
figure it out. Figure out what you're born with and use that. Figure out what's important to you and use that. Celebrate your gifts and bring them to the world.
Here. What an important lesson and an important point to remark on. That I think also gives you joy in your work
Yeah.
when you celebrate your talents and your skills and you play to your strengths
Yeah.
and you share that with the world.
Well, imagine knowing how to fly and then flying. Like that's what it feels like.
Speaking of flying and travel, I noticed you brought in a little figurine, a little souvenir.
Yes,
Do you want to hold it up to the camera
He-
so actually our listeners on
he-
YouTube can have a look at that one too?
This guy stuck in my head. I was at the World Expo in Osaka, Japan, and well, oddly enough, that's another one. So Brisbane Expo 1988. I was there as a less than 1 year old. I didn't know at the time. But in 2015, I went to the Milan Expo, and the expo just has like 100 or so pavilions of different countries, different designers. I can't think of a bigger architectural event, although it's not marketed as such. So I just go and have a look around, see what's happening, look at all the new ideas that people are coming up with. And I noticed that the Osaka had an expo in 1970, so I was like, well, I've got to see what's left of it because I love abandoned stuff and just the potential of what it holds or what it used to be and imagining how it deteriorated and what's happened. And so the Tower of the Sun is the main feature of the 1970 Osaka Expo, and it's still there today. It's actually been renovated. They've actually made it earthquake proof, and it's about 80 meters tall. And inside it is a sculpture of the evolution of species. So
Wow.
it's got the corals at the bottom. As you go up, there's dinosaurs and primates, and it's just mind blowing for that to be like, celebrated and looked after. It was really, really nice. And I think that, I mean, this is basically the Eiffel Tower of Japan because the Eiffel Tower was developed for an expo in 1894, 1896 or something. And this was the big tower that was at the 70s Expo. And I think it's just so amazing that they brought their spin to it. Like they brought their artistic emotion. I mean, everything
There's
means
an anime
something.
flavour to it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's very
it's
organic, very
cartoony.
whimsical.
The sun on the back is the past, and it's sort of like menacing and
And dark.
regretful, and they're processing all of this World War II stuff, and everybody still is. I think. I think a
Yes.
lot of modern times is just tarred or influenced by that experience. So there's the past, and then there's this present. And I don't know, I got the leaflet and it's really interesting. I think the gold one is sort of like the future or the potential. And it's almost Freudian. It's kind of like, the super id. It's like it's like the potential. So I really like that. And it's super golden. When you see it in person, it's just this like blindingly gold disc.
It's certainly not what we usually think of Japanese design and Japanese
Oh,
architecture.
they're so, yeah.
It's not. It's very organic, very whimsical. It's not the kind of restraint and
It's so-
sympathetic natural materials.
I think of it as like a Picasso almost. It looks very, very like that. The artist is Taro Okamoto.
The Australian Pavilion, also at the Osaka exhibition, was a really great showing.
Yeah, the suspended room. So I found out during my trip that was actually still there in 2012.
Wow.
So it was just standing there on its own for all that time. I don't know what they did with it, but that is something that it's a bit sad about the expos is that it's like the Olympics. They fade away and they rot and well, I guess it's almost like an art exhibition to watch them disintegrate. Yeah.
It's a shame that they're abandoned. Where else have you been? That's a really big travel and career highlight. That's informed your work and process.
I collect things from everywhere. I think I call it alphabet soup. So all these letters just stay in my head, bits of things that I like, and then they make words together and they make projects. And so it is that collage and the pastiche and the Convergence, which is actually my company name, Convergence Creative. So yeah, I just made a new company called Unified, which is sort of me saying these ideas are now consolidating into an object of their own. Yeah, but I think Barcelona was really good. I think what I'm learning is that I'm tired of just putting elements together. I want to design the elements as well. I don't want a 150 UC. I want a 50 UC. How do I get there? And when I heard the story of Frank Lloyd Wright with the Johnson Wax Museum, where they doubted that his columns could hold the load and he had to build one himself, I'm almost at that level where I want to prove that we can do things thinner, we can do them lighter, we can do them better, so that we can achieve that effect that we want out of the elements that we've got to use.
You want to redesign columns like the Barcelona Pavilion?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't. In Barcelona, what struck me was the tiles. The tiles on the Casa de Musica are almost like their own architectural element. They're three-dimensional, they're sculptural, they're translucent, they're light emitting. And so, like, why can't we have more building elements that do multi-purpose things? Like, and so that excites me, thinking of a building element as a product that we can also design. And it could be bespoke for that project, or it could be something that someone else takes, like the Sydney Opera House tile that's now used everywhere.
Yes.
When we invent something good, people will take it and
around.
reuse it.
Designed down to the last doorknob.
I want a carport that's 50 mil thick.
Wow.
Like, I want to see that. We can do it. Yeah.
You're not worried about the prototyping responsibility of stepping into the product space?
No, because I designed lights about 10 years ago in my lunch break, and then I cut them on my own laser cutter, and I sold them in a shop. And for the first 4 weeks, I would probably go to that shop once a week. These guys don't even know it. And just check that it hadn't,
set on fire,
deteriorated, or something happened to it. It's gone brown, and I actually got insurance for that product before I released it because I was very careful with what I was doing. And then I realized it's up to us to test things. Let's test them. Let's put them in, like I put them in our sunroom that's like over 60 degrees in summer, and I left them on for 2 weeks and nothing happened. I went, cool, that's going to work. So let's just test it.
You're a bit of a Renaissance man in a way.
Why are we afraid of everything? During professional practice, they taught us never to say that we're better than a standard,
fair and reasonably competent architect.
And that scared everybody for about 5 years. But when I realized that we can do more, we just have to do more. Like, I mean...
do you see an opportunity for prefabricated construction, high quality, either bespoke or limited edition?
I've done prefab stuff before, and this is another idea that's in the vault of mine. I've got to let go of that privacy thing. But I believe that the way we're doing it now isn't the way. And I think that, personally, I would love to see small housing could be done by people. I don't think it needs to be done by builders. And that's going to be controversial, but that's how villages were built.
You wouldn't go back old school to the timber framing manual?
Why don't we make a village with 200 people and everyone helps build everyone else's house until they're all done?
Like Baugruppe in Germany almost.
Well, I don't know, but maybe. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm someone that is not, I don't just accept what's done, especially if it feels stupid. And I think that people not having houses feels stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got to do something about it.
I'm interested in that intersection of your curiosity for product and design beauty and pushing those limits and possibilities, and your fabrication interest already. And I'd be curious to see if we do see something released to the market from you, maybe in the realm of a Muji house or a cabin or...
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about how to bring art to it as well. I met a sculptor. When I started out, I had to sell things on the side to to keep money coming in. So I go to bankruptcy auctions, buy things I knew were worth more, and then on sell them to sustain myself.
That's the entrepreneurial side.
And I saw a sculpture on Facebook Marketplace recently, and my old ways came out. I said, that sculpture looks like it's worth more than $5,000. So I contacted the artist. I said, how much do you sell these sculptures for? He's like 15 grand. I was like, okay.
Oh no.
And then I was like, okay, yeah, I don't really want to sell that. But guess what? I'm really interested in your art. You know, where are you based? Byron Bay. So this guy is now sticking in my head. He's one of the letters in the soup. And I think one day maybe I'll spend a week up there and learn more about his practice and try and collaborate with him one day. I want to do a sculpture house. I want to do a square box with a crazy haircut. Like, you know, I don't know.
Almost like Hundertwasser, the Austrian part artist, part sculptor, part architect.
Probably.
They had these crazy mosaic tiled houses.
Oh man. Okay, so I met this. This is the journeys that I go on. I don't plan this stuff. I went into a plaster shop next to where I worked that does plaster moldings. I said to him, I want to put your moldings on the outside of my building. They're just ceiling roses.
Yes.
I said, I want 100 ceiling roses on the outside of my building. He said, you've got to talk to my nephew. I'm like, okay. I met his nephew. He's a guy from Macedonia that built a house opposite the parliament. And the entire thing is a story. He dreamed of the symbols that he put on the facade. He's got arrows pointing to Parliament because he did something and he wasn't happy with what they did. But then when he left Macedonia, he put hearts as the arrowheads. And the whole thing is crazy. He's an amazing man. His name's Zoran. And he's an artist that builds buildings himself. And yeah, that just reminded me of that, what you said.
Did you put those roses on your project?
No, not yet. But he's really cool. I'm very happy that I met him. Yeah.
I'm really appreciating not only your advice throughout this whole conversation, but the lessons in your confidence and in your certainty, but also in your openness for ideas and discovery and that entrepreneurial thread. And I think that's really, really rare and really special in professionals and in creatives and in our industry as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think there's a lot of influences that really helped me to not forget who I am in the process of getting to where I want to be. And I think that's that. Wow.
Who's your biggest mentor?
Knowingly or unknowingly?
Both. I'll take one of each.
I gotta say, he's not popular at the moment, but Kanye West, his self-belief and his innovation is just like incredible. And I gotta say, everyone that I've asked advice along the way has given me something, even if it was nothing to them. So, I mean, one of my first bosses, I told him, hey, I quit architecture. I'm going to start my own practice. Have you got any advice? I was working for like 4 years. Do you want to catch up for lunch? He's like, nah. I was like, oh, okay. Have you got any advice anyway? He's like, no, all right, yes. One thing, don't ever do a job that you wouldn't do again because you're going to get more jobs from that job.
Right.
And that was great advice. And, you know, some of my studio leaders gave me advice that I wouldn't understand for 10 years. One of them told me that I was going to be a better architect than them by the time I graduated. And I really respect their architecture, and I didn't see how that could be possible. But maybe one day.
Maybe one day, that next building, that next project, right? What's the best work you've ever done? It's the next one.
It's the next one.
The next one.
God willing.
Yeah.
If we're going backwards, we're doing something wrong, and then we're in that place where we know we've screwed up and we have to trace back to how we got there.
I'm mindful of the time, so I'll ask my last question. And that's, what gives you hope?
Waking up. I think that every day you have a chance to do something different. And if I think back to my grandma who lived to 108,
wow.
I think I remember even 2 years before she passed, she would still wake up every morning and be surprised at the beauty of creation. and look at the day like she's never seen a day before. She'd thank God for the sun and the birds and the food. And I think that, every day we wake up is an inspiration. We've got another chance.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And a fabulous takeaway for our listeners. Thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thanks for having me.
John.
It was great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me for another evening of Radio Architecture with Ilana Razbash. This live show was broadcast and recorded in the Radio Karim studio on Bunurong Country. You can replay this show wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in and supporting community radio. Take care.
Hi, this is AC Saunders. You're listening to Radio Karim.
Hi, this is Naomi Liba, composer and vocalist. Keep tuned to Radio Architecture. They rock.